So before we get started with the program, I want to take a second and thank everyone that helped participate to pull this event together this weekend. There were a lot of people that did a lot of work to pull this together. I'm not going to try to name them all or even name any groups because I know I'd forget someone. But a lot of people did a lot of work for a long time to make this happen. So thank you all. If you see somebody walking around working, thank them as well. We're going to keep playing with it. I'm Roger Malinsky, your MC for the night.
I got to keep an eye on it.
Teresa asked me, Roger, would you be the master? And as soon as she said that, I said, stop right there. Anytime you say you want me to be the master, I'll just leave it there. I heard it somewhere, and I know I heard that someplace. So I also want to say hello to a few people. I think Father recognized some of them up in church earlier, but I just again wanted to say hello to some of our friends. Vito, I think he might have snuck out already. He said he's got 4 more places to go tonight. But we've got Yvonne, and Siobhan was here, and Marcia. I saw Marcia floating around, as well as our dear friend Mary Kay. Where is Mary Kay Duda?
Probably at the bar.
Oh, there's Marcia. I don't see Mary Kay. What happened to Mary Kay? Oh, okay, she's in the back. She's probably working. And I saw lots of knights. Is there a raffle going on, or are you guys still selling Tootsie Rolls, or what are we doing today? Oh, tomorrow. Okay, all right. Well, let's get down to it. When we started doing some of the planning for this event, Father Rizzo said he wanted something small and laid back, nothing fancy. We essentially said, you're not the pastor anymore. You're not in charge. So we wanted to add a few things. There was some discussion about doing a roast, but I was voted down. So we came up with this other format to get some things done. We're going to have a few presentations, a few very short speeches, and then a few comments from Father Rizzo. So, with that, so some of you call him Father Rizzo, some of you call him Bob Rizzo, some of you just call him Bob, some of you call him that guy. The one that he doesn't care for is Father Bob, so kind of stay away from the Father Bob. For me, I just like to call him very simply my friend. So that's what I'm going to do right now, without further ado, is to invite my friend and your friend up on the stage to have a seat. He's so humble. You can take this one. The cameras are all set up. We wanted to mention a few facts before we get into all the rest of the information. And some of these go all the way back. Father Rizzo's birthday was June 29th. And he wouldn't be a priest if he hadn't had a birthday. So we will look back to see what else happened on that wonderful day that may have been in his background someplace. So I'm looking and looking and looking to see what happened on June 29th. I'm still looking. In 1807, the Russo-Turkish War, Admiral Dmitry Savignan destroyed the Ottoman fleet in the Battle of Athos. Pretty big. In 1880, France annexed Tahiti. Well, that was a little more common run. Jumping forward a few years, that we might all feel relevant. In 1975, Steve Wozniak tested the first prototype of the Apple I. on June 29th. And then in 2007, Apple released the first mobile phone, the iPhone. So I guess it is a pretty big day in some cases. In 1965, his niece was born. So it is a great day. Looking back through the history, if you believe in this, in your last earthly incarnation, you were born somewhere around the territory of northern Japan in the year 550. Your profession was a monk, or a beekeeper, or a lone gunman. Those are the choices. In your profile, you've always been involved with new things. You love changes, especially in art, music, and cooking. This is your past life. That's pretty good. You learn discretion and reason, and then teach it to others. And on the year of your ordination, 1974, we wanted to see what was happening back then. Patty Hearst was kidnapped. Richard Nixon announced that he was going to resign the presidency. Gerald Ford took over president. Gerald Ford granted Nixon a pardon. Sounds like Chicago politics. Life expectancy was 72 years. I don't want to worry you. The movies of the time were Chinatown, Godfather Part 2, and Blazing Saddles. Interesting trio. So, we wanted to spend a couple of minutes and get to know Father Rizzo just a little bit. That's it. That's all you get. Is that better? All right, who's driving him home tonight? So, Father Rizzo. Father Bob. Wait a second. You've been a priest for over 40 years. When did you realize you had the calling?
When I was a child, but not until I was in high school that I really thought about it seriously. But even when I was in grade school, I thought about it seriously. But it wasn't until I was 22 when I made my final decision.
When did it hit you that you actually made the right choice?
You wanted to say when I came to St. Hubert? No, I knew an ordination that I made the right choice as soon as it started.
So we now have 3 young seminarians here at St. Hubert. What sage advice do you have for them as they would begin their journeys?
I would tell them, pray every day and save some money every day. It will come in handy when they retire.
So in all your time, the various parishes you've been pastor, what do you find the most rewarding about being a pastor?
That you get to see the whole operation, not just a facet of it, but you get to see every part of it.
And what's the most challenging thing about being a pastor?
The most challenging thing is convincing people that God really does love them.
So you mentioned some things upstairs in your job description. Leaving out humor, what do you think is your greatest skill that has allowed you to be so successful? And aside from your superior driving abilities.
Well, probably knowing what I don't know and sharing that with others. I know what I don't know, so that helped me a lot because I was able to listen to other people who did know things I didn't know.
So here's the tough interview question everybody gives. If you had to sum up your time as a pastor in one word, what would it be?
I would say joyful. Joyful.
one of your wonderful opportunities is to perform marriage ceremonies. Do you have any idea how many you've done over the years? Have you ever kept track?
I did not keep track. Someone asked me that, one of the children asked me, probably about 1,200.
Are there any specific ones that were very memorable without using names?
Yes. My own grandniece, she's right here. I just did her wedding in August. And
That's as far back as you can remember, August.
I watched the video of this last night, and it reminded me that I've been doing weddings for 43 years, and her wedding was the first one where I got the name wrong. And my own grandniece, I got her spouse's name wrong, the middle name, and then I called him Lester instead of Ledger. So it was not only humiliating, but his father tried to bail me out and said, well, you were thinking of the Cubs pitcher. But I didn't even realize I was doing it. It reminded me I need to retire.
So speaking of retirement, what do you plan to do with your free time now?
Well, I hope to read more. My nieces and nephews, they gave me a nice gift of Museum Art Institute, a yearly subscription to that, and also for the Architectural Society in Chicago. So I hope to do a lot of museums and visit more architectural type things in Chicago. Hope to travel. Hopefully spend 2-3 months in Florida in the winters and be in Rome, especially since they weren't represented at this event. Be in Rome in the fall for about a month, 5 weeks before Thanksgiving, not this year, but next year. So, anything that comes along, especially if they're looking for a chaplain on cruise.
Speaking of traveling, the Archdiocese has asked us to discuss one of these expense vouchers with you. Teresa handed it to me and said, I know, we'll talk about it later.
I think there's none there. I was more careful with parish finances than my own.
So it's been said by some people, mainly me, that you know the first and last name of every Catholic in the Chicago area and a lot of the non-Catholics. First, why is it that you've been able to establish relationships with so many people? And second, how do you remember their names?
Well, I don't remember most of their names, Tony. But I ask people a lot of questions. You usually want to know if they're related, where they live, where they came from, and then that's how I make the connection. So in Chicago, they say I came from the north side or south side. I usually know someone and start mentioning names, and that's how I make the connection. And if they're Italian, I always find out what part of Italy they're from.
Because you know their family.
Yeah.
And our last question, and probably the most important, what happened to the White Sox?
Well, I didn't want to say it, but since I was pastor at St. Hubert, both the White Sox and the Cubs won the World Series. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you for your time. And now we're going to move into the presentation part of the program. We've got the Mayor of Hoffman Estates, the Honorable Bill McLeod, and Gary Stanton here with him, I think.
And we didn't rehearse any of these questions, right? I didn't know that.
Did I get them all, the ones you gave me? So if I could ask the Mayor to come on up.
Well, it's been a sellout, Father. I think most of the presidential campaigns last year would like to have a turnout like this. Also, I'd like to say that since you've done so well for the Sox and Cubs, how about the Bears? I think in one of your retirement episodes. No, we really appreciate what Father Rizzo has done for our community. what he's done for the people who he has worked with in the various parishes, what a great job he's done in his vocation, and how many lives he's touched and how many people he's helped to get through tough times in life, which is something we always look for the priests to be able to give us comfort in times that are very, very well. Have with me here today Trustee Gary Staten and Trustee Karen Mills, both parishioners of St. Hubert. And Trustee Gator was at the Mass. I don't see him here, but I am here in official business from the Village of Hoffman Estates. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Father Robert C. Rizzo was born to parents Margaret and Carmen Rizzo on June 29, 1948, at Loretto Hospital in Chicago. He and his sister Carol grew up on the west side of Chicago on Taylor Street, before moving into the area of Our Lady of Sorrows Parish on Jackson Boulevard. Whereas Father Rizzo attended St. Anthony and Cicero and St. Mel High School in Chicago. He completed his college studies at Niles College of Loyola University and St. Mary the Lake Seminary in Mundelein, where he was ordained on May 8, 1974. Whereas Father Rizzo served as associate pastor of St. Peter Canisius and St. Edward, both in Chicago, St. Barbara in Bridgeport, which I also think is in Chicago, St. Lambert in Skokie, and at St. Paul of the Cross in Park Ridge, and as pastor at St. William in Chicago and St. Hubert in Hoffman Estates. Whereas during his tenure, Father Rizzo oversaw the completion of St. Hubert's renovation and established a parish pastoral council, which led to the development of a long-range pastoral plan. He also dedicated class time to all students of the school, which became recognized as a new living school. Whereas in addition to his passion for the church, Father Rizzo loves to hike along the Chicago lakefront, read, visit museums, and attend symphonies and concerts. He finds joy in traveling and spending time with family and friends, and is known for enjoying a well-made dish of pasta or pizza, accompanied with lively conversation and laughter. Whereas Father Rizzo was a sports enthusiast like no other. He cheers for all the Chicago teams, but is partial to the White Sox. When it comes to football, any game will do. We therefore resolve that I, William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim Saturday, October 29, 2017 is Father Robert C. Rizzo Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and I urge everyone to join us in prayer. God bless you, Father, and I'm sure God will.
Now, I'm led to believe that if you put that on your dashboard and drive through Hoffman Estates with your record, only today, you get one day. We're going to move into a few comments from some of the staff members here, and I'm going to ask Teresa McCutcheon if she'll come up, please.
Hello, everyone. I have my back up here if I can't make it through. Faith, family, and friends. Father Rizzo has shared his faith with everyone gathered here tonight. Family, he is surrounded by and loved by his family. Through the years, Bob has made family a priority. Spending time with Carol and Joe, and of course John, Tressa, and Bob, and of course Father Griffiths, who is part of the family. When he tells family stories, you should know that it's always with joy and pride. Friends. Father Rizzo has many friends. Bob has never met a person without having some kind of connection to them. His easygoing, inquisitive nature makes people feel comfortable, and they find him easy to talk to. The most important thing, he remembers everything. He takes a genuine interest. I took on the position of business manager 6 months after he became pastor. Smart guy, isn't he? Smart guy, smart guy. We had weekly meetings, we talked finances, we talked facility, we talked light bulbs, we talked all kinds of things. I gained confidence in my job because Bob had confidence in me. He supported me. He had faith in his staff, and he supported his staff privately and publicly, was fair and just, and had a way to handle every situation that came about. We had many accomplishments. The church renovation was the greatest. I saw this community come together, provide manual labor and financial support. He unified the community, and now we have a beautiful space to gather and worship. After spending 40 hours a week with someone, you truly become part of each other's lives. Actually, I think I spent more time with you than with Jeff. It's only natural. Jeff and I are blessed to have spent 12 years getting to know you. And now, Joe and Carol. We look forward to many more years of wine and laughter, because it's not the end. In retirement, I wish you joy, happiness, peace, time, safe travels, and love. Because Bob, you always say when you love someone, you should let them know. We love you. I will miss you daily, and we will all miss you.
I don't believe you got through that. I'm impressed. I was going to sit here. Need a break. Bless me, Father Rizzo. And now I'd like to ask Pat Ashcombe to come up and say a few words.
Father Rizzo, I have most admired the depth of devotion to your ministry. Yours are compassion, humble service, and faithful love for Christ and His church, evident in the many ways you go about your life's work. Even in the noise of hectic days that saw you going from early morning mass to school to visit one of the classrooms, to the office for a staff meeting, into the city to attend the wake of a former parishioner, and back to the office for an evening PPC meeting or a finance council meeting, or a school board meeting, or even something as enjoyable as a school band concert. Your enduring, faithful dedication to ministry was always evident. You sustained a sense of joy in all your comings and goings that will echo in the halls of St. Hubert for years to come. You managed to always extend a spirit of hospitality to anyone who came to see you. Most were here for counsel and advice, and you spent countless hours ministering to people who arrived looking desperate and who left your office with faces that expressed relief and renewed hope. You inspired us with your homilies, your friendly, inclusive attitude toward everyone, your smile, your spirituality. In spite of, or perhaps because of, the hectic, fast pace of life, amid distractions and responsibilities, I would often see you in your office quietly bowed in prayer. Praise was something that was not in short supply. Personally, I appreciated your appreciation and your ease in expressing gratitude for even the simplest tasks. I always felt we worked well together, and foremost in our minds was the deep conviction that we were here at this time, in this place, to serve the people of St. Hubert. Any support from my office was simply to bolster your important work of leading the flock that was entrusted to your care. You believed in the goodness, the talents, the gifts of others, and you made evident your trust that we would do what was required of us. You encouraged each person on staff to use our God-given gifts when we worked, but to always take time to relax, to find refreshment. You often, quite naturally, provided the entertainment which brought about needed laughter and enjoyment in the midst of the workday. You were even the much-needed advisor when it came to chiropractic issues, demonstrating the stretches that were vital to having a healthy back. And you often shared the account of your experience at the health club or the swim in Lake Michigan or the bike ride along the lake, which would refresh and renew your energy. I like to tell the story of how on one Wednesday, your day off, you visited a gathering of religious ed students in the club room. These kids varied in age, and it was the season of Lent. You talked to the students for a while and then opened the floor to questions. One small girl asked what your favorite food was, and you said, kielbasa, which resulted in a few snickers from older students, but not much reaction from puzzled faces of younger ones. You then said, no, actually, my favorite food is pasta, definitely pasta. The next question from a young boy was, what are you giving up for Lent? Yours was a simple and somewhat expected answer. Sweets, candy, all kinds of desserts and sweets. Another young girl then raised her hand and asked a perfectly logical question. Why aren't you giving up pasta? In your usual easy, quick manner of the perfect retort, you answered, God asks of us to do the difficult, not the impossible. So to you, my boss, my mentor, my friend, my fellow traveler, I say simply, thanks for the great moments, the days and years we've spent working and praying and playing together. The memories will always remain in a special place in my heart. May God be your guide on your road to retirement, and may your retirement bring you peaceful, God-filled moments, loving encounters, heartfelt wonder, pleasant memories, and joy-filled times.
Pam, you should know, is the one who is behind all my letters. So after I give a letter to her, she polished it up so it sounded really nice. Because if it came out the way I speak, you'd say, "Oh, that's kind of crude." Oh, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe. But she made it sound so wonderful that it was still a little jab, but it sounded gentle and nice. So she was able to do that. So thank you for doing that 500 times, Pam.
And now we're going to ask Dick Lawson to come up and speak on behalf of the Deacons.
I love when they do change the prayer. It's just great. It's just very.
I have to admit, I was choked up a little bit tonight when I came up with the Blessed Trinity. I wasn't expecting that. But Bob has touched my life in many ways since coming to this parish. I remember when we invited you over for a cookout shortly after you came here during the summer. And he came over in civvies. I mean, he was like one of us. And we sat down and we partaked in a meal and joked around and gave us a history. We found out about him, how he is a real person. And over the years, I've come to find out that he really does love and support us here at St. Hubert's. Not only myself, but the deacon and the whole staff and the whole parish here at St. Hubert's. I have to thank him for having faith and confidence in me. Because when he came here, I was standing behind the amble giving my homilies. And one Sunday afterwards, he came up and he says, Dick, I know you know what you're saying. You can do that without the amble. And he gave me the confidence and the faith that I could do that. And I thank him for that gift. And it's something I'll always treasure. I also ran into him in a place you wouldn't expect him to be during Christmas season. This was shortly after I think they came here to St. Hubert's, and Sandy and I were doing some Christmas shopping. It was about probably 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the evening. And as we're walking through the doors, who should we see but Father Rizzo sitting on that side bench as you go in the Target. Sandy and I looked at ourselves and said, "Who's that? Is that Bob?" "Yeah, it is." So we went over to him and talked to him. And so we sort of chilling said, "Where you sure to hear confessions from the shoppers and everything." So I would say, watch out when you go to Target during this Christmas season. You never know, since he's retired, he may have more time here. But I think when he came here, I didn't know what to expect. The whole time he's been here, these 12 years have been 12 years of a pleasure working with a man who I look up to and cherish in terms of a friend and as a pastor and a leader. He's given me confidence in myself. I think he's done that for all the deacons here and for the whole staff. And we thank you for that. And for the next, however long you have for retirement, and I know you like to travel and we share stories about traveling, maybe we'll run into each other. Sandy and myself and you in Italy or someplace else. So may God bless you and may you have a good retirement.
And now I'd like to ask Debbie and Danny Thomas if they can come up on behalf of the parishioners here at St. Hubert, longtime parishioners. Grab a couple of sandwiches.
His name is really David Thomas. And they cook Lebanese food, so they're really good.
He says he's Italian, but I think you ought to see him eat Lebanese food. It's unbelievable. So it's really been, it was an honor for us to be asked to come up here and talk. We had the fortunate to meet Father early on. At the first gala, they said, you know, he's a little on the shy side. And you know, being you're so shy too, why don't you guys sit together at the gala? So we sat, we hit it off, and it was great. He came over and ate a lot of our food. And the next year, we went to the gala and we sat next to each other again. So the third year rolls around and we go to sit down and all of a sudden Father walks up and he says, "Did I lose a bet?" Because he had to sit with us again, but we really hit it off, and he's just been, he's our pastor, and he's really been our friend, and we've had him over to the house several times, and it just feels right, and he's always been just a great leader for us, and we really appreciate everything he's always done for us. My wife, who is very shy, doesn't want to talk, and I'm going to put her on the spot and let her talk a little bit.
Father Marriage Counseling.
I did see you at Target too. One of the other things was that when our daughter got married, we had called and asked for that date so that he could preside over her wedding, and Pat had said that he was supposed to be on a sabbatical at that time. So he was very gracious and generous enough to postpone his sabbatical by one day so that he could do Lauren's wedding. And I can't even tell you the amount of comments that we got from our family and our friends who aren't a member of this parish who just said, "You just did a phenomenal job." It was one of the best days of our entire life, and for that we will be eternally grateful to you. Yes, it was June 28th. Yes.
2014.
Something. So thank you so much. We've enjoyed many, many meals together. Father does love Lebanese food, but I love cooking for you. And we just want to thank you for all that you've done for the parish, for our family. You will always have a place at our home, at our table, and in our hearts. Thank you.
Anybody need a Kleenex yet? Now I'd like to ask Jim Elder, representing the parish council. Getting a little worried, he's carrying a plate.
So the bar is actually closed for a little while because I'm up here.
You can't hear me? Who can't hear me and who wants to? Bob, do you remember 12 years ago? You remember that far back? Walking into the parish, and you saw this scruffy guy with a beard, and from across the parking lot you said, I know you. You don't remember that? That was me. After 12 years, we think we know you pretty well. You've done very much for us, as we'll see in the slideshow in a little bit, and you've inspired us to do so much more for ourselves. And of course, the parties are always good.
Yes.
And of course, the parties are always good. But I was brought up here on a serious note to thank you on behalf of a grateful parish and everyone that you've worked with. You've inspired us. You've taught us what it is to be a faithful servant. And the cushy chair is not too bad. So, if you could all join me, no matter if you're drinking wine, water, lemonade, or beer, how about a toast to Bob Rizzo?
I saw where you put this microphone. And now I'd like to ask Father Rizzo's nephew, John, to come up.
I forgot to, he lives in Vegas and Reno.
Hello everybody.
He's a shy person.
How many of you were at Father Rizzo's first Mass? Raise your hand. Okay, there's still a few of us left. All right, that's good. That's very good. I noticed that some of the priests were asked back that can celebrate it that day. Is that correct? I was an altar server that day. I wasn't asked back, was I? Yeah. Anyway, this theme, I guess you would call it a theme, at that Mass was Alpha and Omega. Is that correct? And I think we're getting closer to Omega, aren't we? Okay, anyway, it's a great showing. We've already heard all the people have come off from all over the world here, and it's great respect for Father Rizzo, Uncle Bob, Bobby, whatever you want to call them, and it's truly wonderful. And as I thought about when I would come up here and speak, and this theme is been rampant today, why do people come and want to be with him? And the answer is very, very simple. Whether he was a son, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, a great uncle, a priest, a pastor, and a friend, when you're anything with Father Rizzo, he's fully engaged. He's fully engaged, and that's what makes him different than most. We're in a very distracted society now. And Father Rizzo, when he gets involved in any role, he's fully engaged. And that's what makes him different and special. So congratulations on your retirement. And Father Rizzo, Bob, Bobby, Uncle Bob, Riz, I know in retirement you're going to be fully engaged and have all the zest of life in retirement. And make no mistake about it that he is retiring, and he is proud. We're going to announce it for sure. And it says hashtag pound sign Rizzo is retired.
I'll be sure to give it to Anthony.
And now we'd like to ask Father Rizzo's sister, Carol, come on up.
I've known my sister for 69 years. She has never spoken in public. This is the first time. Wow.
I'm shocked.
Please bear with me.
We can't hear you.
Oh, okay, got it. I have to be humble up here too. Girl, I just want to tell you, I love you so much. You know this is the height of my love for you. Son John stole a lot of my lines. The many hats that you wear. I know the hat that you wear for St. Hubert is, it's beyond reach. But the hat that you wore for your family, again, as son, as brother, as cousin, uncle, great uncle, we're all very moved by everything you've done for us. So, we love you and we're happy to be here with you celebrating and retirement.
So I have the honor of presenting the parish gift on behalf of everyone here at the parish. And I'm not going to give it away, but it fits a theme that I think you've had with your staff around travel. Not that we're trying to get you to leave. Father Mike, what was it you said? If he would just pack up and move the rest of his junk out of my house? Is that the way you put it? I'm trying to remember.
No matter what you say, Father Mike's not like that. You can never convince me. Don't worry, Mike, I don't believe a word he says.
Well, I have to read my notes because it's the only way that I'll get through this. As I prepared for this, I tried to think of the one thing that most made an impact on us here at St. Hubert. It wasn't easy to think of one thing, but I think I finally came up with something that was among the more significant aspects. It's being a teacher. I want to thank you for the things you taught us these years. You arrived here during a very turbulent time. It was a time that the congregation was being pulled in opposing directions, to build or to remodel. You taught us to listen to each other. You asked those who supported the teardown to learn and understand what the people that wanted to rebuild had in mind. And then you asked the people who were supporting the rebuild to think about what the people that wanted a new church had in mind. You asked us to pray. You asked us to open our hearts and let the Holy Spirit guide us. You could have easily made the decision and let the chips fall where they may, but that way one faction would win and one would feel as though they lost. You taught us to open our hearts and our minds to the power of the Holy Spirit. And that's been your method throughout the last 12 years. This has helped pull the parish back together. You can see how alive and vibrant the parish is by the number of ministries and the hundreds and hundreds of ministers that we have serving each other. We don't always agree, but we've learned to work together to carry out our larger mission. Personally, I want to thank you for teaching me these lessons. I try to go through my life now, listening and praying and engaging the Holy Spirit. Got a ways to go, but I feel like I've got someone helping me along the way. So on behalf of me, my family, and the entire parish family, I'd like to present you with this token of our stand.
Be careful.
I usually let Pat open my gifts. Just in case. I'll trust it this time. It's a good sign, it says made in China.
Could be a box of explosives.
As much as I love Italy, those of you who've been there, I'll never leave it at the train station like this. I'll always hold it in my hand. It's beautiful. Oh, there's more inside. Oh.
You have a lot of parishioners. You're stealing something.
So that's a journal, it's for writing in. So
This
that
one
you-
was made in Italy.
It's made in Italy.
Pat will write in there.
And we wanted to share something with you because we know you're going to spend a lot of your time in Florida or Arizona, places where it's warm all the time. So we wanted you to take some of this with you.
Thank you.
And with that, I just want to say again, Father, thank you for everything you have and have done for us and everything you've been to us. And thank you all for being here. Now, time for your rebuttal and then prayer.
I have no rebuttal. I just want to thank you all again for being here and staying, and hopefully the food is good and you enjoy it. And what else can I say? I will be back in Advent for Masses on Sunday, and then after the New Year, I'm hoping to spend the winter in Florida. So some people ask me, what do retired priests do? A month ago, I don't know yet, I'll find out, but a month ago I was at Chick-fil-A, and just as I was going up to the counter to order, a little girl from our parish came up to me. She's 8 years old. She said, Father Rizzo, how are you? Will you sit with us? I said, yes, but you have to promise me something. She likes to talk a lot. You have to promise me that if I sit with you, you'll let me do some of the talking. Okay, I'll let you talk. So we sit down, her mother's there and her sister, and in the course of, while we're having our breakfast, she says to me, Father, can I tell you something? I said, of course you can, Bernadette. So, when I grow up, if I don't like any men, and no one asks me to marry him, I'll marry you. She's 8 years old, and I said, well, thank you, Bernadette, but you know, by the time you're ready to get married, I'm going to be like 90, 95 years old. She says, oh, I don't care. I don't care how old you are, I'll still marry you. So, I'll let you know. Thank you.
So relax, enjoy yourselves, have something to eat, enjoy the bar. And I think Father Rizzo said he'll stay here and sign autographs until the stadium's empty.